Hello. Give me a signal if you can't hear me. I think we need to have a discussion about the state of affairs in this country, the impunity in this country, and the sort of um, blatant abuse of office that is becoming endemic in this country. When Barrow came to power, and I will never tire of saying this, when Barrow came to power in 2016, he came to fulfill a possibility, an alternative to the rot that we were living in under Yahya Jammeh for 22 years. There was hope, there was a lot of enthusiasm for nation building, there was the need, not the courage and the tenacity and the brilliance that came with that change. Now, post 2016, the drama begins, right? The indifference. And then shortly, Haruna Jatta was murdered by security forces loyal to Adama Barrow. Nothing came out of it. And then fast forward, Keba Seka was killed by the drug squad, allegedly or not allegedly. I mean, it's clear as day. Osman Daba then was tortured by the anti-crime unit, and he allegedly died of those beatings, the torture that was meted on him. Now, if there is one thing that Gambians have cried about, has been the torture, the exiling, the assassination of people who are opposed to the regime of Jammeh. So every time this thing happens in the country, there is trauma that is opened again. And now when people stand up to say these things, you want to arrest them and question them for what? False publication. What is false publication about this? Human beings died under your watch. Faraba, the people, that blood, the blood of the people who died at Faraba is on the hands of Adama Barrow. And there's no doubt about that. It's as clear as day. Because if you had prevented the root cause of the problem, those people wouldn't have gone on those adventurous protests until they got killed. But then you want to test the waters, yeah? You want to see how far I can take this sort of petty dictatorship that you've started. You want to see that if people say something that is against your desire as a person, as opposed to the institution of the presidency, you would jail them, or you will try to keep them, to frighten them. But this is a new generation of young and old Gambians alike who refuse to be cowered down, who refuse to be taken for a ride. And until such a time where we recognize, by we I mean the people, recognize the newness that we come with, then we will be taken for a ride for a long time to come. We charge this government with murder of her citizens, and that goalpost shouldn't change. We charge the Republic of the Gambia under the leadership of Adama Barrow with the murder of Gambian citizens, period. There is no nice way to couch this, because lives were lost when they could have been protected. But then again, in a nation like this, the security has always been at the beck and call of the unjustly powerful. And until that institution goes through a radical change, then nothing is going to change. It's going to be the same perpetuation, because Barrow wanted to profit from the ignorance, the injustice in the Gambian security system. That's why he left it intact and still employed people who had tortured Gambians, who murdered Gambians, who had partaken in the destruction of the social fabric of this country. He kept them intentionally because he wants to do things like Jammeh did. He wants to entrench himself, take over the reins of power of this little impoverished country and take it for a joyride. And that will not happen as long as people like us are alive, you could do whatever you want, Barrow. You could take us to court. You could take Mari to court. You could take him and charge him. That will not stop him from talking. You could take me and charge me. You took Killer Ace and you did that stuff to him. That didn't stop him from speaking. I think you should learn your lesson now. We are here to stay. We are here to remind you of your responsibility before the toiling masses of this land. But since you don't want to understand simple English, I'll say it to you in very simple words. You have murdered innocent, defenseless Gambian citizens in your pursuit of comfort, in your pursuit of unbridled power. And there's nothing bureaucratic you can do. No amount of courts that you can set up, no amount of wealth that you can pump into the system to corrupt, to scare, to frighten Gambians would stop us from reminding you of the blood on your hands. The blood on your hands are they're very fresh. They cannot be forgotten. You cannot bury it under some sort of power that you have because you have. I mean, yeah. Let's just talk about this for a minute. You talk about rule of law in this country. What rule of law are we talking about? The rule of the executive? Laws that are co-signed in the blood of our people? Laws that were created to stifle our progress as a people? Laws that were created to protect the rich and powerful, the land grabbers, the real estate moguls, to protect the interests of and the houses and the neighborhoods of those who don't want disturbance. Tell me, where is your security is? Where is the anti-crime? They're in the poor neighborhoods, terrorizing young people. The drug squad, the same thing. What has changed since these institutions were created? Nothing has changed. They haven't changed anything. In fact, they have entrenched a sort of a culture where they brutalize the people and the people defy them and keep going what they're doing. You want to use that machinery of death that Jammeh left behind, this machinery of torture, this machinery of humiliating the everyday Gambian. You want to use that and bring it on the people so that you can solidify yourself. But you forget that ultimately this land belongs to the poor sufferers that today you scoff and laugh at, those who you fight, those you don't care about, those who you mock, these poor everyday Gambian people, the ones who toil just to put food on the table for their children, those who toil just to struggle just to pay salaries, living a hand-to-mouth existence. Those everyday Gambians that you think will not rise up against you in your quest for unbridled power, for your bloodthirsty maggots that surround you. That these people one day will wake up and they will realize that it cannot be like this. When Gambians qualitatively reached a point in 2016 and understood that Jammeh must go, he went. And you too will go. And your story will not end there. It will be the beginning of your story. You refuse to comport yourself in humility. You refuse to accept the importance of serving the people. You refuse to uphold the highest ideals that should be the ideals of a leadership in an impoverished, underdeveloped nation as this. Instead, you decided to act just like Jammeh did, to threaten Gambians, to kill Gambians, and to act like, even when you do that, when people say it, no, you're not going to be humble enough to accept the charges and to redress the wrongs that have been done to the people. Instead, you want to threaten Gambians? You think we look like we could be threatened? Do we look like we could be threatened by you? We put you in that office. Why would you threaten us? Why do you think we care about your little silly threats? We don't care. Do whatever you want. If you want, bring the ICC here and try the activists. It's not going to change things because we are still going to say what we are going to say to you. And we charge you with the murder of Gambian people. If you don't stand and seek justice for these people, if these people don't have justice and you don't redress the wrongs, then, well, what would we say? You killed them. Because your government has never been proactive in the death of Haruna Jatta, in the death of Keba Seka, in the death of Osman Dabo, in the death of all those people in Faraba who were protesting. You were never proactive about it. You wanted it to go off the radar. So when Mahdi brought it up, it became a thorn. It became problematic for you. You became paranoid. You became angry. Who is this guy to challenge me? Doesn't he know, or don't he know who I am? Because that's the way you are acting now. You beat your chest. I did this. Ndala Jato City. I'm the bus driver. I'm your president. I'm the king. You know, this type of things. These are your rhetoric now. You said you did the change. You brought the change. Everybody was scared except you. These are the type of things you tell us. You've made yourself into this very arrogant person, forgetting that yours is but a little time and it will pass, and then another person will come. You forgot to be humble before the people of this country and to walk with them. And when you make errors, you come to them and tell them, listen, I could have done this way, but I accept the criticism. I've been wrong. Let's move on. But instead, you want to mock the Gambian people. You want to harass the Gambian people. After everything Gambians did to put you in office, the best thing you can give them is to act like this, to be indifferent. And when people say something, you arrest them and you want to stifle them. You want them to keep quiet and zip it. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. If this is your plan to arrest everybody who speaks out, then build more prisons. Build more courthouses. Build more police stations, because people are going to speak out. This is a generation that is defiant, that is saying, we are going to speak to you that uncomfortable truth that you don't want to hear, and you will hear it. And this is not a generation that you are going to threaten with whatever, voodoo, superstitions, religion, the law, whatever. As long as we are here, and we are not dead, you're going to have to hear this more and more until you get your act together, and then you respect the mandate that has been given to you as a mandate that is here to serve the Gambian people. You are not here to serve yourself. Your government shouldn't exist for your own sake. It should exist for the sake of the Gambian people. Why am I Gambian in your life? It's the Gambians, yeah? It's us, the everyday people who only complain and do nothing. That's why you can do this. That's why you can squander $5 billion and nothing comes out of it. That's why Haruna Jatta can die and nothing comes out of it. That's why the Faraba incident happened. Nothing came out of it. Keba Seka, nothing came out of it. Osman Dabo, nothing came out of it. You know why? Because we sit down and allow you to do these things. But the day we say you are not going to do them, you're not going to do them. So I hope you remember this. I hope you remember that our lives are not toys. Our lives are not your province or your arena to do it with whatever you want. Our lives are ours. And we have entrusted you with this country so that you can move it to better days, to brighter days, to a time when we don't have to do GoFundMes for our babies when they're sick, to go for overseas treatment. We want a time that would guarantee proper health care, proper education. This fight is not about you, Barrow. It's bigger than you. You're just a small, tiny part of this fight. And if you stand in the way of this fight, you are just going to be pushed aside, and we will continue our forward march to liberating this country from poverty and wretchedness and ignorance. So be rest assured that we are out here in our many numbers, and we are having these conversations. And for the first time, young Gambians are having similar conversations around the issue of power, around the issue of privilege, around the issue of wealth and its distribution. And I can tell you for a fact that if you are going to continue like this, then you would have an opposition, not these political parties. You will have an opposition from the youth of this country that you would never have predicted was going to happen. Don't let these NPP things fool you. Don't let this Barrow Youth Movement stuff fool you. There is many young Gambians out there who are defiant, who are angry, and righteously so, who refuse to be cowered down. Young Gambians who refuse to be whatever you want them to be. The day is coming. Your day of reckoning is coming. If you don't get your act together and apologize to the Gambian people and seek justice for these young lives that were lost. Your day of reckoning is going to come. And when it comes, it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. So I hope you get your act together and come out publicly and tell the Gambian people about these lives that were lost under your watch. Because if not, we charge you with murder. We say you are complicit in it because you don't care about it. And leave Madi Jobata alone, man. Let the man speak his truth. Let him say what he continues to say. And Madi would be relevant so long as you continue to act like this. Madi is a dignified man. A man of integrity. You know? I've known him a long time. He's a man who has stood his ground in the things that he believes in. So leave the people alone. If you cannot leave, if you cannot take this country anywhere, resign. That's why the 3 years was there in the first place. That was the second wisdom behind it. That if you cannot do it, tell people, oh no, I can't do it, and leave. Don't test us. This is not going to be about Ayala Bahana. No, we are not going to do that anymore, Barrow. We are done with that. We're not going to do this whole maslaha business. And there's many of us, as many young Gambians, you would be surprised, who are meeting now and are talking and are saying similar things, and they, you know, and they are listening to each other, and they are beginning to come together, to understand each other, and they are having these conversations in the places that you don't even expect. Young Gambians all over the world are beginning to question the logic of the powerful in this land, and the conversation has begun, and it will happen. It's only a time before the rupture happens. So you can threaten some people today. That only harden the resolve of these young people, these young Gambians. The moment you arrest one of us and you want to take them to court and you want to make a show and a drama and a theater and a performance, this doesn't scare these young people I'm telling you about, and they're in their thousands. It only hardens them. It only makes them realize that this shit must end as soon as possible. So, I hope you understand what you're up against. You're up against a people that will never sleep again. That is over. The sleeping time of the Gambian people is over. We're just in a state of slumber, but we're about to wake up, and the awakening is happening. And when it comes, it's gonna be the rupture itself. It's gonna be your day of reckoning. Before that time, I hope you get it together and you apologize to the Gambian people. Let Madi go, and then you become very forthright and forthwith and very, very stringent around addressing these murders that are happening and have happened in this country. And that you restrain your mercenaries you call security, this anti-crime unit, this drug squad, who are here terrorizing and brutalizing poor defenseless youth. We are not your test subjects, Barrow. You are testing the wrong waters. I know you are testing the waters. You are trying to see how far you can go with it. We are not your test subjects. We are not your guinea pigs. This is different waters you are testing. So I hope you remember that. And that you know that there's a lot of young Gambians who are mad at you. And the only thing that stands between them and booting you out of office, even before 2021, is organization. And that is happening. And we are organizing, and we are talking, and we are hearing each other. You get dego. You can't intimidate us. It's long. It's way. This is not that generation that you can just intimidate and they were like, we will all cower into a little shell and we will accept you to do whatever you want. Those days are long gone. These little courts and your little state lawyers and your little Ministry of Justice. You think you can threaten people with that? You can threaten people with these little performances and charades you have going on by arresting people and charging them with some laws that nobody knows even exist. The young people in this country laugh at that. They're like, this is his new ploy. This is what he does now. The people are not scared of you, Barrow. It's only a matter of time before you find that out. And I hope it's not too late when you find that out. Get your act together and apologize to the Gambian people. Thank you.